my tribe, even the warriors, greet one another, that I think is so fitting for what we're undertaking. And they talk about something that's very precious. And so this is how they greet each other on an occasion like this. Good morning. How are the children? Not how are you? How are the children? Isn't that neat? Good morning. How are the children? And what we hope for is that the answer will be, as they strive to say to one another, the children are well. That's what we want for our Promised Neighborhood, to always be able to say the children are well. Because the Promised Neighborhood is an opportunity for us all to do something very different and something we haven't done before. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate. I know there are people here who are educators and non-educators. There are folks who live in the Promised Neighborhood and those who not. It is important to what we're doing. Because we know above everything else, no matter how much a few people care about this, it has to be the community. So I will talk to you just a bit about what Promised Neighborhood is, how it came about, and what we hope for it. So this is what I want you to be able to say roughly to people who ask you about Promised Neighborhood. I've pared it down so I don't talk too long, by the way. Imagine a place where every child and every adult routinely accepts the responsibility for what is good in the neighborhood, and where every adult accepts responsibility for every child, no matter what. This is an opportunity to take responsibility for everybody's children. They don't have to be your own. Imagine a place where the living motto is, in all things, children first. Imagine a place where the whole community is focused on great schools, safety, health, and well-being for all children and families. And imagine a place where aspiration, not desperation, is a way of life. Such a place is the Central Little Rock Promised Neighborhood. We can now dispense with imagining and join the work of the Promise Partners, other service groups, and grassroots neighborhood residents to make real the Central Little Rock Promised Neighborhood. Now, why and how is this possible? Well, Promised Neighborhoods, as you might have mentioned if you saw some of the video, Promised Neighborhoods are modeled on the principles of the 20-year effort of the Harlem Children's Zone, which successfully links people and services to do whatever it takes, that's the Jeffrey Canada motto, do whatever it takes to ensure children have happy, healthy, productive childhoods. The Harlem Children's Zone was the inspiration for funding for competitive grants to communities across the country. And we are so lucky here in Little Rock, we are one of 21 communities, one of 21 who got those grants. And a lot of that was due largely to what I call Promise Partners, people who saw an opportunity and stepped up and said, we are going to take step one to do this. And I want to recognize those partners. They are Arkansas Children's Hospital, UALR, anybody here from Children? Somebody was here Thursday night. UALR, who's the lead agency, the Little Rock School District, New Futures for Youth, City of Little Rock, and the Arkansas Library System. These were the lead partners who put their money, their time, their people on the line to make sure we had a successful application that has put us on the road to establishing a roadmap for our children and making it possible for all of us to come together in settings like today and for the future to promise kids we will do whatever it takes. It's all about a promise to our children and to our families. The Harlem Children's Zone model is results-based and place-based, and the Promised Neighborhoods will follow that model. So when you have a lot of questions about the Promised Neighborhood, it's important for us to remember there is a model that's been successful that we're following. And in a lot of ways, please know, we had to and we have to become a little bit comfortable with ambiguity because we don't know everything that's going to go on. We don't have all the answers, and that's what we're doing, seeking from the people in the community to help us figure things out because it has to belong to the community. While it's indisputable that many neighborhoods meet the Promised Neighborhood criteria, reality dictated we had to set some boundaries so that we could be successful and have a chance to do what Jeffrey Canada and all the folks in the Harlem Children's Zone have been able to do. There is no such thing as a neighborhood that's not working. But we just know we can't bite off everything at one time. So with that in mind, the Central Little Rock Promise neighborhood is bordered on the north and south between I-630, and I keep on wanting to say Foggy Bottom, but that's somewhere in D.C., between I-630 and the Bush Creek Bottoms, and east and west between Wall Park and MLK. Those are the boundaries for the neighborhood. And it took the partners a long time, along with other people involved. It was an arduous process. And at times gut-wrenching, because we knew not everybody was going to be a part of this promised neighborhood. So the schools involved, and that's the central focus here. But understand, we're trying to take some of the pressures off schools by making sure everybody is doing every day what we should for our kids so they can be successful in school. But the schools involved, the three elementaries, they are Bale, Franklin, and Stevens. And the middle school is Forest Heights. And the first thing you say is Forest Heights is not within that district. No, it's not. But most of the students who live in the Central Promise neighborhood go to Forest Heights. And the high school is home for the very same reason. These are the schools that serve these students. Central High is in the neighborhood zone, but Central High does not serve most of the students that we're going to be dealing with within the zone. So that is why. So the planning grant allows the Promise partners and other partners and community members a full year to the end of September. We have a full year for planning. That's what the first grant was for. So we've spent almost a full year planning what we think we need to do to be prepared to implement the promised neighborhood and all the promises that we're making to our kids. So we got the grant. This is part of the planning. You're part of the planning. Things are not set in stone at this point except for what's required by the grant. So you need to please know that what you do today is a part of what's going to inform phase 2, because we've been successful with the planning grant. And now we're prepared to apply for an implementation grant, which is phase 2. The implementation grant, of course, requires that we show that the community is in this effort and we're all making a promise for the long term for these kids to help establish a roadmap for their success from cradle to career. I noticed there's a baby today here in a cradle. That's our mascot for what we're talking about. And we're talking about all the way through career. That every child, this is our village, and we are dropping a web over our village and making sure everything happens for these kids that need to happen for them to be successful. So with credit to Jeffrey Canada, who is the CEO of the Harlem Children's Zone, this is an opportunity to direct our action to changing the odds. Changing the odds for our children rather than hoping they can beat the odds. We don't want them to just beat the odds. It's up to us to change the odds. This effort is an opportunity for the whole community to lay claim to our neighborhoods. Think about this. Somebody is going to lay claim to our neighborhoods.
That's right.
It should be we who lay claim to our neighborhoods, because somebody's going to do it. So this is an opportunity for us to lay claim to our neighborhoods, and an opportunity for every adult to keep the promise to every child, every hour, every day, that we will do whatever it takes to ensure the success of every child. That is what the promise is all about.